Hi, I'm Cher, the Shadow Walker, and I'm taking a look at cryptid sightings in the last 48 hours in the Midwest of the United States and the Western provinces of Canada. And I'm going to start with Manitoba. And in Manitoba on March 29th at 11:15 p.m., one person in the Grand Beach State Park area, a massive bipedal figure seen near the dunes, emitted a chest rumming sound, growl. It should be grumbling, but they missed the G. And they reported it to the Manitoba Sasquatch Tracker. And a dog man was sighted on March 30th at 2:45 a.m. in the morning by two people. And this is near Hodgkins, and this is the Interlake area. A bipedal canine pacing a fence at a farm. It stood 7+ feet and lunged at the barn door. And it apparently frightened the dog that was there. And they reported it to the private dogman log. And a Mothman was sighted at 1:20 a.m. on March 31st by one person on the Red River north side near in the Winnipeg area. A large winged shadow seen gliding over the frozen silent river, and its flight was silent, and they reported it to the Winnipeg Anomalies Watch. Anonymous Watch. Sorry, I'm having trouble with that. A hellhound on March 30th at 12:05 a.m. One person in Birds Hill Park near Burr Oak, a solid black canine with glowing eyes, vanished into the oak brush when spotted, and they reported it to the local forum. And a skinwalker was seen March 31st at 3:30 a.m. by one person in the Portage La Prairie in the rural area. A coyote stood up on two legs and mimicked a human and called for help near the porch. And they reported it to the Rural Community Board. And a spider humanoid on March 29th at 10:45 p.m. in Flin Flon in the industrial area. A pale, multi-jointed figure seen scuttling along a chain link fence, and they reported it to the Northern Manitoba Private Log. Now I decided I'd jump to the States to North Dakota and take a look at that state. So over the past 48 hours, there was a Bigfoot sighted on March 30th at 11:15 p.m. by one person in the Theodore Roosevelt National Park, the North Unit. Large, dark, bipedal figure seen standing against the ridge, emitting a low rhythmic whoop. And it was reported to the hiker log there at the park. And a dog man on March 29th at 2:40 a.m., two people witnessed it near Wiltston, Highway 1804. Bipedal canine seen hunting alongside a smaller bipedal, eyes reflected pale yellow, and it's reported to the Community Cryptid Board. And on March 31st, a Mothman was sighted at 1:30 a.m. by one person in the Red River corridor near Fargo. A massive winged shape seen gliding between warehouse rooftops. It blocked out the moon, and they reported it on the Citizens Chatter radio. And a hellhound on March 30th at 12:05 a.m., one person in the Fort Abraham Lincoln area, a massive black shadow with burning eyes seen near a cluster house, vanished instantly near the cluster house, and they reported it to the Haunted Fort Archives. And a skinwalker on March 29th at 10:50 p.m., one person near a rural property near Malott. A coyote stood on two legs and mimicked a human hello to get their witnesses' attention. and they reported it to the local watch. I wonder if you'd answer them back what they do. Spider humanoid on March 31st at 3:20 a.m. One person in the Grand Forks area in an abandoned silo was there, and it was a pale, multi-limbed figure seen scuttling horizontally across the concrete wall, and it was reported to the private digital trackers log. They seem to like silos. Where I am, it's about a 5-minute drive to where they've been sighted 4 times now, the spider humanoids crawling up these silos just down the road from me. Now I'm jumping back up to Saskatchewan. There was a Bigfoot sighted on March 29th at 8:45 p.m. by 2 people in the Aquapel Valley area near Craven. A hair-covered bipedal seen walking a ridgeline caused a heavy pressure in the air, and it was reported to the Aquapel Lore group. And a dog man on March 30th at 1:15 a.m. by one person in the Fort Sands area near Echo Lake. A bipedal canine seen near an old sanitarium gate emitted a mechanical rasping breath, and they reported it to the Sask private tracker. And a hellhound, March 31st at 10:12 a.m., one person in the St. Louis area, the ghost train tracks, a massive black dog with no face pacing the old rail bed, vanished when the light appeared, and they reported it to the St. Louis Watch. I think it's just guarding that area. A skinwalker on March 29th at 11:30 p.m., one person. Near Prince Albert, in a rural area, a coyote stood up and mimicked a family member's voice to lure the witness outside. And it's Sask Rural Watch. And a spider humanoid on March 31st at 2:45 in the morning, one person in Weyburn, so that's down towards the border area, former hospital site, a pale multi-jointed figure seen scuttling over the foundation. They do like their cement, and they reported it to the local cryptid log. And in Minnesota, over the last 48 hours, a Bigfoot was sighted on March 29th at 9:45 p.m. by 2 witnesses in the North Woods area. A large bipedal figure seen standing on a logging trail, emitted a chest-thumping vibration, and they reported it to the Rainier Sasquatch Watch. And a dog man on March 30th at 1:15 a.m., one person near Rochester, the Whitewater State Park area, a bipedal canine crouching near a deer carcass, looked at the witness with amber eyes before standing up. And the Minnesota Cryptid and the Walkie private log is what it was reported to. And a Mothman on March 31st at 2:30 a.m., one person in the Duluth area, the Canal Park aerial lift bridge area. A massive wing silhouette perched on the bridge took flight silently as the ship approached, and they reported it to the Duluth Paranormal Group. And a hellhound on March 30th at 12:40 a.m. in the morning, one person near St. Paul, the Summit Avenue area, a massive black smoke-shaped dog, large, seen pacing the historic mansion gates. Well, it's guarding it. The Twin City Ghost Trackers. And a skinwalker, March 29th at 11:10 p.m., one person near Stearns County Rural Holdings. A coyote stood on two hind legs and mimicked a human, help to lure the witness towards the woods, and they reported it to the Central MN Rural Alert. And a spider humanoid at 3:50 a.m. on March 31st this morning, one person in Minneapolis in an abandoned grain elevator, of course. A pale, multi-jointed figure seen scuttling horizontally across the concrete silo. And they reported it to the Urban Explorer. It would be great to put a trail cam on some of these silos. Even in this area, I'd like to see some trail cams put up on the silos to see what you get. We just might get something. So in Alberta, over the last 48 hours, There has been a Bigfoot sighted on March 31st at 5:45 a.m., so this morning, by one person in the Horse Thief Canyon, Drumheller area. A massive silhouette crossed the ridge, vocalized a woman screaming, mixed with a growl. And they reported it to the local cryptid file. And that's right where I am. So, yeah. And we go out all the time looking. And a dog man on March 29th at 1:15 a.m., one person in the Horse Thief Canyon, upper rim, red eye seen tracking a hiker's flashlight pacing parallel to the trail's edge. And they reported to the Alberta Cryptic Log. And a Mothman on March 30th at 11:50 p.m., one person in the Lethbridge high level bridge area. A large winged shadow seen perched on a steel trestle took flight towards the coulees silently, and they reported it to the Southern Alberta Cryptid File. There was a hellhound on March 31st at 12:40 a.m. One person near Wayne's Last Chance Saloon, that's right here. This is all the Skinwalker area of Canada. So the Last Chance Saloon is pretty famous. You can go in there and it's a great place to go. A massive black shadow with burning eyes seen near the old horse tie-up vanished. And if they seen this, it was the saloon staff log that they have there. They reported it to. They get a lot of things there. There was a skinwalker on March 30th at 2 a.m., one person near Canmore in the wooded perimeter, mimicked a coyote howl but with a human-like tonal shifts, watched residents for 10 minutes. And that was a Bow Valley community alert. Coyotes are incredibly intelligent. I had a half brother, that had one as a pet when I was younger, and I used to babysit for him. And Wolfie that's what they called her. She was incredible. And she guarded the kids, and she was great with us. And I knew when I was babysitting, I was always safe with her around. Just loved her. And a spider humanoid on March 29th at 3:30 a.m. One person in the Medicine Hat Industrial Zone. A pale, multi-jointed figure seen crawling vertically up a brick warehouse wall, and they reported it to the private digital tracker log. In Ohio, over the last 48 hours, Bigfoot was sighted on March 30th at 11:47 by one person in the Portage Headwater Trails area, and it was a 10-foot black figure face-to-face encounter. 15 seconds emitted musky odor, and they reported it to the Bigfoot Society. And a dog man on March 29th at 1:30 a.m. by one person, it was witnessed in the Silver Creek Metro Park, the Summit area. A bipedal canine seen blurred running parallel to the residential fence line, and they reported it to the Bray Tracker. And a Mothman on March 31st at 1:05 in the morning, one person in the Galapagos near Silver Bridge site. A winged humanoid perched on a power pylon, eyes reflected like bicycle reflectors, and they reported it to the Mason Company Scanner Group Corporation, they don't say. A hellhound on March 30th at 12:20 a.m., one person in the Cambridge area near Taylor's Inn. A large black dog with smoky eyes seen on the stairway shook a guest's bed. And they reported it to the Ohio Real Haunting Log. Well, that one was there for a reason, people. I've done a piece on hellhounds if you want to go back and look at it. It explains some of the behaviors that you see. And a skinwalker on March 31st at 4 a.m., one person in the Trumbull County residential area. A massive black shadow crashed through the brush, caused a German Shepherd to lunge, and it was the Trumbull Rural Watch. And a spider humanoid on March 31st at 3:15 a.m. One person in Cleveland in the Flats industrial area. Pale multi-jointed figure seen scuttling vertically up a salt silo. Excuse me, and they reported it to the Citizens Radio. They sure do like their silos. Thank you so much for listening. That was for the western provinces of Canada and the Midwest of the United States. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate your help. Thank you so much.